desert air at Falcon Airbase shimmered under the morning sun. Heat waves danced across the runway, turning the horizon into a blur of steel and sand. The distant thunder of an F-22 Raptor rattled the hangar walls as it screamed into the sky, leaving behind a trail of vapor and envy in its wake. Aisha Khan looked up from her toolbox, the roar of the engines vibrating through her chest. Her hands were smeared with grease, her coveralls stained from long shifts spent fixing machines she could never fly. She wiped her forehead with the back of her wrist and smiled faintly. "Another perfect takeoff," she whispered, though no one was listening. Around her, the maintenance bay buzzed with the rhythm of routine. Mechanics shouted torque numbers, pneumatic wrenches hissed, and the smell of jet fuel filled the air. For Aisha, this was home, a world of bolts, circuits, and hydraulic lines. She knew every curve of the F-22's fuselage, every hum of its twin engines. She could tell when a jet had a minor imbalance just by the sound it made on startup. Yet, to everyone else, she was just the maintenance girl. "Hey, Khan," Sergeant Miller called out from across the hangar. "You done with that intake inspection yet?" "Captain Harris wants his bird ready in 10. "Yes, sir," she replied, tightening the final screw on the intake valve. Her voice carried confidence, though her eyes betrayed something else, a quiet longing. As the jet's shadow passed over her face, Aisha imagined herself inside the cockpit, helmet on, HUD glowing green, the throttle warm under her glove. She could almost feel the pull of the G-forces, the freedom of slicing through the clouds. But that dream was forbidden territory. In the world of military aviation, there were lines, and she wasn't supposed to cross them. Maintenance crews didn't fly. They served those who did. Pilots had degrees, ranks, and wings pinned to their chests. Aisha had a wrench, a patch with her name on it, and a reputation for keeping the jets alive. That was enough, at least for most people. But not for her. It hadn't always been this way. When Aisha was a child, her father worked at a small airstrip outside Karachi. He wasn't a pilot either, just a ground mechanic who loved the smell of aviation fuel and the language of machines. He'd take her out on weekends, showing her how each part of an engine fit together like a heartbeat. "Flying is beautiful," he used to say, handing her a spanner. "But understanding how flight works, that's power." Beta, those words had become her compass. They guided her through engineering school, through sleepless nights studying aircraft systems manuals, through the grueling application process that landed her here, Falcon Airbase. But once she got here, reality had other plans. The pilots joked around her, sometimes with kindness, sometimes not. "You know, Khan, if you stare at that jet any longer, it might just let you fly it," one of them teased. She laughed along, but deep down it stung because she didn't just want to stare. She wanted to soar. That afternoon, the hangar was quieter than usual. The squadron was out on a training mission, and the sun had begun to dip lower, bathing everything in gold. Aisha sat on a maintenance cart, sipping cold water, her mind lost in the clouds above. Suddenly, a voice broke through her thoughts. It was Chief Engineer Ramirez, her supervisor. "Khan, you've got a knack for these Raptors," he said, pulling up beside her. "You ever think about applying for flight training?" She looked at him in surprise. "Sir, you know they'd never take a maintenance tech." "I don't have the clearance, and besides..." She hesitated. "I'm not exactly their kind of candidate." Ramirez gave her a long look. "You've got more sense than half the people flying these things. Keep doing what you do. Sometimes fate listens when no one else does." Aisha smiled politely, though she didn't believe in fate. She believed in systems, logic, effort, things she could fix with her hands. Dreams? They belonged to the sky. As night settled, the hangar lights flickered on one by one. The metallic sheen of the jets gleamed under the fluorescent glow. Aisha ran her fingers along the smooth wing of an F-22, feeling its cold precision. "You and me," she whispered. "We're both built to fly. Only difference is, you get to." She lingered there for a moment longer, her reflection faintly visible on the aircraft's silver skin. Then she turned, picking up her wrench as the radio crackled to life. "Attention all ground crew," the voice announced. "Mission Alpha Team returning in 10. Prepare recovery bay." The routine resumed. Engines roared, tires screeched, and Aisha blended back into the rhythm, unseen, unheard, but indispensable. She didn't know it yet, but before the next sunset, fate would listen. And when it did, the sky that once seemed unreachable would call her name. The air inside Falcon Airbase hung thick with humidity that afternoon, a heaviness that seemed to slow every sound, every movement. The maintenance hangar buzzed with its usual rhythm, wrenches clinking, compressors hissing, the distant rumble of engines on standby. Aisha Khan was beneath an F-22's wing, double-checking the hydraulic pressure lines before signing off the day's inspection report. Outside, thunderclouds gathered, painting the horizon in dark streaks. The calm before the storm, or so she thought. Then it happened. A sharp alarm blared across the base, slicing through the air like a warning shot. Red lights began to flash in the control tower. Every head turned toward the speakers mounted above the hangar door. All personnel, standby alert. Repeat, standby alert. Unidentified aircraft approaching from North Sector. Tools dropped to the floor. Mechanics froze mid-motion. Aisha stood up slowly, heart pounding. It wasn't a drill. She could tell from the urgency in the voice. Captain Harris and his squadron were scheduled for a high-priority intercept mission. Routine surveillance, nothing more. But within seconds, the situation had spiraled. Over the radio came a flurry of broken voices. Control, this is Eagle 1. Captain Harris is down. Repeat, the captain's collapsed in briefing room C. Aisha's eyes widened. The hangar fell into stunned silence. Collapsed? Someone whispered. What the hell happened to him? Medics sprinted across the tarmac. The mission clock was still ticking. The radar warning kept pulsing, a single red dot moving closer to restricted airspace. Aisha felt a chill crawl up her spine. Every second that passed meant the unidentified craft was getting closer. Within minutes, Colonel Stone, the base commander, stormed into the hangar. His voice boomed over the chaos. Listen up. Captain Harris is unconscious. We don't have a replacement pilot on standby. That bogey is 35 miles out and closing fast. If it breaches restricted airspace, we'll have a national emergency on our hands. The words hit everyone like a slap. Aisha's mind raced. She looked toward the row of F-22s, silent, waiting, fully fueled. Then the colonel barked again, scanning the room. We need someone who knows these jets inside and out. Someone who can get one airborne immediately. The hangar fell silent. The mechanics exchanged nervous glances, and then, slowly, almost unwillingly, every head turned toward Aisha Khan. Her heart jumped. Sir, me? She stammered. Colonel Stone's eyes narrowed. You know these planes better than anyone on this base, Khan. You've serviced them for 3 years. You even ran simulator diagnostics during the last upgrade, correct? Yes, sir, but nothing, he cut in. We don't have time to debate qualifications. You're our only option to get that bird off the ground. Can you do it? For a moment, the world blurred. She could hear her pulse louder than the alarm. Could she really? She had studied every manual, memorized every system, tested every control. But flying? That was a different universe, yet something deep inside whispered, "You were born for this." She nodded once, firmly. "I can try, sir." The colonel wasted no time. "Get her suited up," he ordered. The mechanic scrambled, guiding Aisha to the pilot locker room. Everything felt unreal. The smell of jet fuel, the weight of the flight suit, the way the helmet gleamed under fluorescent light. She had handled these suits hundreds of times, cleaning, adjusting, packing, but never worn one. Her hands shook slightly as she zipped up, but when she looked at herself in the mirror, something changed. She didn't see the grease-stained technician anymore. She saw someone who might actually belong up there. "Ready?" a voice asked. It was Sergeant Miller, the same man who had once teased her for dreaming too high. Now his expression was different, tight, nervous, respectful. She gave a small nod. "Let's go!" As she approached the jet, the engines of the other Raptors rumbled to life, but none had pilots yet. Only hers, the one she had spent the last 6 months maintaining, waited open, cockpit lights blinking softly. She climbed the ladder, each step echoing louder than the last. The rain started to fall, tapping against the metal wings. Her gloves brushed the smooth canopy frame, and she felt a surge of emotion she couldn't name. Fear, awe, destiny, all tangled together. Sliding into the seat, she took a deep breath. The cockpit felt both alien and familiar, like walking into a dream she had rehearsed her whole life. Through the headset, a controller's voice came through, uncertain. Maintenance Tech Aisha Khan? Confirm you are in control of Raptor 03? Her voice came out steadier than she expected. Confirmed control. I'm in, a pause. Then another voice, deeper, older, the Colonel's. Khan, listen carefully. You're not cleared to engage. Just get airborne, identify that aircraft, and maintain visual. Do not take unnecessary risks. Understood? Understood, sir. She began the startup sequence, fingers moving instinctively across switches she had memorized in the simulator. Systems check, green. Fuel flow, stable. Thrust vector, nominal. The engines came alive with a roar that vibrated through her bones. The ground crew stepped back, giving her a thumbs up. Outside, thunder rolled. The radar beeped faster. The unidentified aircraft was now 20 miles out. Aisha tightened her grip on the throttle. The canopy closed with a hiss, sealing her inside a world of light and sound. Falcon Tower to Raptor 03, runway clear. You are go for takeoff. For a heartbeat, she hesitated, the maintenance girl about to do the impossible. Then she whispered under her breath, "Let's fly." The engines roared. The jet surged forward, cutting through the sheets of rain. The runway blurred beneath her as the F-22 lifted from the ground. Her first flight, her first breath of freedom. Far above, the storm opened its arms to her, and as the base watched in stunned silence, one thought echoed through every radio channel. The maintenance girl just took to the sky. The storm clouds above Falcon Airbase churned like restless giants. Lightning flickered far on the horizon, briefly illuminating the runway that shimmered under sheets of rain. Inside the cockpit of Raptor 03, Aisha Khan sat frozen for a heartbeat, one hand gripping the throttle, the other hovering near the flight controls. Her reflection stared back from the HUD glass, wide eyes beneath the flight helmet, breath fogging slightly against the oxygen mask. It was happening, something she had dreamed about for years, but never dared believe would come. True, was now unfolding in real time, her trembling. Hands steadied as the voice of the control tower crackled through the headset. Maintenance Tech Aisha Khan, you are cleared for takeoff. A silence followed, heavy with disbelief. The entire base seemed to hold its breath. Aisha swallowed hard. Copy that, control. 03 rolling. She pushed the throttle forward. The jet responded instantly. The engines howled, their power shaking the air. The rain on the canopy turned to streaks of silver as the F-22 surged ahead. Every vibration, every shudder of the frame felt like part of her heartbeat. Her training wasn't from a flight school. It was from years of listening, to engines, to pilots, to systems. She had run every diagnostic simulation, memorized every startup sequence, and watched more takeoffs than anyone else on the base. Now all of that came alive in her fingertips. At 150 knots, she eased the control stick back, the nose lifted. The world below fell away, and just like that, she was airborne. The storm clouds swallowed her instantly. Wind buffeted the aircraft, lightning flashed somewhere distant, and her heart pounded as alarms blinked across the display. But Aisha didn't panic. Her hands moved automatically, adjusting pitch, trimming thrust, reading the instruments like she was born to. Raptor 03, confirm altitude 15,000 and climbing. Copy, control. Leveling at 15. The colonel's voice came through next, low and calm, but laced with tension. Khan, the unidentified contact is 12 miles northeast, descending erratically. Satellite confirms it's not manned, likely a malfunctioning drone. Your mission is to intercept and prevent it from breaching the civilian zone. Do you copy? Copy that, sir. Her eyes flicked to the radar display. A red blip blinked against the dark green background, closing fast. The drone was heading straight toward a populated coastal town. For a few precious seconds, she let herself breathe, gazing out at the vast gray sky. The clouds opened just enough to reveal a streak of golden sunlight breaking through. It was beautiful. It was everything she had ever dreamed of. But the moment didn't last. The radar pinged faster. Distance, 8 miles, she throttled up. The twin engines responded with a thunderous roar, pressing her into the seat. The F-22 cut through the sky like a blade. The maintenance girl was flying a Raptor, and she was chasing a rogue aircraft through a storm. As she approached visual range, the drone came into sight, spinning slightly. Lights flickering, its stabilizers malfunctioning. It was dropping altitude fast. Below, through breaks in the cloud cover, she could see the faint glimmer of city lights, thousands of people unaware of the danger falling toward them. Falcon Tower. "I have visual on the target," she reported, voice steady. "Drone appears unstable, losing altitude rapidly. Recommend immediate intercept." "Acknowledged, Khan. You're cleared to neutralize if necessary. Keep distance. That payload could detonate if mishandled." Aisha adjusted her targeting sensors, aligning them with the drone's path. The system blinked red. Locked. Her finger hovered over the trigger. But something wasn't right. The drone wasn't hostile. It was broken, suffering. Its systems flickered like it was trying to correct itself. She hesitated. One wrong shot could send debris raining. Over the city below, her mind raced. She remembered all those nights studying the F-22's avionics, how the targeting system could override drone frequencies. Maybe, just maybe, she could disable it remotely. "Control, this is Khan, requesting permission to attempt remote link override before engagement." "Denied," came the colonel's voice instantly. "You're not trained for that protocol." Aisha clenched her jaw. There was no time. The drone was less than 3 miles from the city limit now. "I'm sorry." "Sir?" she whispered, and began typing commands into the auxiliary console, fingers flying, overriding the safety lockouts. The drone's frequency flashed on her display, weak, distorted, but there. She tuned it manually, forcing a handshake signal. The jet's onboard systems hummed, and for a second, the drone stabilized. "Come on," she muttered, sweat dripping down her temple. "Talk to me." Then, success. The drone's lights flickered green. It slowed, leveling off. "Falcon Tower, I've stabilized the drone," she exhaled. "It's responding to override, initiating controlled descent." The colonel's voice was silent for a long moment, then returned, soft, almost disbelieving. "Understood. Khan, maintain control and guide it clear of the city." "Good work." Aisha eased the controls, guiding both aircraft, Predator and Prey, through the thick clouds. The storm began to break apart around them, revealing the evening sky painted orange and gold. She could see the coastline now, waves shimmering under the fading light. The drone descended smoothly toward an empty stretch of sea, engines sputtering. At 300 feet it broke apart gently. No explosion, no fireball. Just a soft splash and silence. "Falcon Tower, target neutralized. Civilian area secure. Copy, Raptor 03. Outstanding work. Return to base." For a long time, Aisha said nothing. She simply flew, gliding above the clouds, her heart soaring higher than the jet itself. The fear, the doubt, the years of being overlooked, all burned. Away in the sunlight breaking through the clouds, she was no longer just maintenance. She was the one who had taken control when no one else could. And as she banked the F-22 back toward Falcon Airbase, a small smile crept beneath her visor. For the first time, the sky didn't feel distant anymore. It felt like home. The sea below shimmered like molten silver under the storm's fading light. Aisha Khan's fingers were steady on the controls, her breathing slow, controlled. The rogue drone was seconds from breaching the city perimeter, and the weight of 1,000 lives hung in the balance. "Target at 200 meters, came the voice from control. "Impact in 10 seconds. Aisha narrowed her eyes, tracking the unstable machine on her radar. It was tumbling erratically now, its engines screaming in protest. The override she had initiated was breaking down. The drone was slipping from her command. She had one last option. "Falcon Tower, this is 03, she said, her voice firm despite the pounding of her heart. "Going for manual intercept." "Negative, Khan." You'll get caught in the blast radius. But she had already decided. Her right thumb hovered over the trigger. She aligned the targeting reticle with surgical precision, her instincts sharper than any manual could teach. The HUD flashed locked, she whispered under her breath. For the people below. Her thumb pressed the trigger. A bright burst of light erupted across the gray sky, a controlled detonation, precise and perfect. The drone shattered mid-air, breaking into harmless fragments that scattered across the ocean wind. For a moment, the world went silent. The radar blinked, clear. Then the radio came alive. Direct hit! She did it! Target neutralized! Cheers erupted through every channel. Mechanics, control operators, even the colonel himself. The tension that had gripped the base for the last 30 minutes dissolved into pure disbelief and awe. Aisha sat back in her seat, exhaling for the first time in what felt like hours. Outside her canopy, the clouds began to part. The sunlight broke through, flooding the sky with streaks of gold and pink. It looked like a new dawn. Raptor 03. Return to base. The colonel's voice came through, softer now. You've earned your wings today, Aisha smiled faintly. Copy that, Control. Returning home. She banked the jet toward Falcon Airbase, the distant runway glimmering through the haze. The storm was gone now, as if the sky itself had bowed in respect. As she descended, the runway lights blinked in sequence, guiding her back like a path of stars. Her landing was smooth, precise, textbook perfect. The jet touched down with a hiss of smoke and rolled to a gentle stop at the far end of the tarmac. For a moment, Aisha sat there in silence. Her hand still rested on the controls, trembling faintly. The roar of the engines faded to a low hum. She could see the hangar crew running toward her, the same people who once called her just maintenance. Now, their faces told a different story. The canopy lifted, and the wind rushed in, cool, clean, filled with the scent of jet fuel and rain. Aisha removed her helmet, her hair damp with sweat, her face streaked with exhaustion and quiet triumph. Sergeant Miller was the first to reach her. His eyes were wide, his voice unsteady. You actually did it, he said, almost in disbelief. You saved the city. Aisha climbed down the ladder slowly, boots touching the ground with deliberate calm. No, she said quietly, the jet did. I just listened. But the truth was clear. It wasn't the jet that saved anyone. It was her. Inside the command tent, the atmosphere was electric. Colonel Stone stood over the radar table, his hands clasped behind his back, staring at the returning signal of Raptor 03. When Aisha entered, every conversation stopped. The colonel turned, his eyes searching her face, disbelief, respect, and something deeper, something like pride. He walked toward her, boots echoing against the concrete floor. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, with a faint smile, he extended his hand. You're not just maintenance anymore, he said softly. You're a pilot, and a damn good one. The room erupted in applause. Engineers, pilots, radio officers, even the medics joined in. But Aisha wasn't used to applause. Her eyes went to the window, where the silhouette of the F-22 stood gleaming under the floodlights. That was her real applause. The quiet hum of the machine she'd once only repaired, now conquered. Later that night, the base was calm again. The crisis had passed, Captain Harris was in recovery, and the storm had cleared. Aisha sat alone on a crate outside the hangar, watching the stars return one by one. The air was cool and still. Somewhere in the distance, she could hear laughter from the crew, lighter, freer than before. She smiled faintly, remembering the colonel's words. The F-22s have a new name to call, yours. At first, she didn't believe it, but the next morning proved him right. When the dawn broke over Falcon Airbase, a new sound filled the hangar, one that carried both pride and promise. The pilots had gathered before their first briefing since the incident. On the mission board, beside Captain Harris's name, another had been added in bold white letters, call sign, Falcon 1, Aisha Khan. The nickname spread fast, across squadrons, across the airbase, even across the military network. The girl who had once been invisible among tools and turbines was now the name pilots spoke with admiration. The one who rose when everyone else froze. That evening, as Aisha walked past her jet, her Raptor, she stopped for a moment. The sunset painted it in shades of orange and gold. Her reflection shimmered across its metallic surface. She reached out and ran her hand along the wing, whispering softly, "Thank you for trusting me." Somewhere deep inside the machine, the cooling metal pinged, a sound like a quiet acknowledgement. And as she turned to leave, a voice called from across the hangar, "Falcon 1!" She turned and saw the ground crew smiling, waving. The name echoed across the runway, louder this time, proud, defiant, earned. Falcon 1, Aisha Khan. The title rolled through the hangar like thunder, blending with the hum of the jets and the heartbeat of a new beginning. And in that moment, Aisha knew she was no longer part of the ground. She belonged to the sky.